Life does not yield its treasures to those who sit in hesitation, waiting for a perfect sign, or searching endlessly for the right moment. Action is the divine law in motion. It is the bridge between vision and manifestation, between prayer and answer, between dreaming and possessing. To force yourself into action is to command the universe to respond, to align with courage, and to bring forth results where once there was only thought. Every vision that stirs in your heart is a seed. But the seed does not grow unless it is planted. Planting requires motion, taking the step, writing the word, speaking the truth, knocking on the door. Too many souls bury their gifts under the soil of procrastination, thinking tomorrow will bring more strength. Yet tomorrow is shaped only by the action you choose today. Force does not mean strain, it means decision. It is the deliberate refusal to let fear or doubt decide for you. When you rise and act, the invisible hand of divine order pushes you forward. Every step you take creates momentum, and momentum creates miracles. Do not wait for confidence to arrive before you act. Confidence is born in the act itself. The river of courage begins to flow when you place your foot into the waters. The mind will resist. It will say, "You are not ready. Wait until you feel inspired. Wait until you have more time." These are the lies of delay. Inspiration is the reward of motion, not the requirement. When you act, even clumsily, the path clears, the doors begin to open, the resources arrive. Heaven itself rushes to meet the one who dares to move. The forces of fear and failure lose power the moment you confront them. A lion turns not from its prey, it advances. You must advance on your vision with the same certainty. Your destiny does not belong to hesitation, it belongs to bold steps. Train yourself to act even when your emotions waver. Train yourself to take the first step, then the next, until motion becomes your natural rhythm. Action is faith made visible. To act is to declare, "I believe." You cannot claim belief in your dream and remain still. Faith without action is like a lamp without oil. It cannot burn. But once you move, you ignite the flame of possibility. That flame grows into fire, and that fire lights the path not just for you but for others watching silently, waiting to be inspired by your courage. Force yourself, not with harshness, but with discipline. Push past the excuses, rise above the waiting. Speak the word, make the call, write the plan, build the foundation. For every moment you hesitate, life waits too. But the instant you act, life rushes toward you with opportunities you could not imagine. You are not powerless. The law of action is already within you. It is the divine current pressing you to rise. Feel it, obey it, and move. Because when you force yourself to take action, you break the chains of fear, step into the river of faith, and awaken the miraculous results that were always waiting for you. Action is the bridge between vision and manifestation. A dream that lives only in the mind remains a shadow of what could be, never stepping into the light of reality until action is taken. Vision is the spark, the divine whisper, the sacred image of what is possible. But vision alone, no matter how pure or powerful, will not change the condition of your life. It is action that transforms invisible ideas into visible outcomes. It is the courage to move, to try, to push forward, even when the path is unclear, that gives substance to the vision within. Many people hold brilliant dreams in their hearts. They imagine new businesses, healthier bodies, stronger families, a deeper connection with God, or a life of purpose and abundance. Yet they remain stuck in the waiting room of life, hoping one day conditions will align perfectly before they begin. They say, "When I have more money, I'll invest in my ideas. When I have more confidence, I'll step forward. When the time is right, I'll make my move." But the truth is simple: the time will never feel perfect. The right conditions are created by action, not by delay. Action is the key that unlocks the next door. Think of a bridge suspended over deep waters. On one side stands vision glowing brightly in your imagination. On the other side stands manifestation, the life you long to live, the results you desire to hold in your hand. The bridge is not built by waiting or wishing. Each plank of the bridge is laid down with a step, a decision, a move in faith. With every act, large or small, you build the way forward. Without steps, the bridge is never completed, and your dream remains unreachable. But once you force yourself to move, plank by plank, the bridge grows stronger, and soon you stand on the other side holding the reality of what you once only imagined. Action has a law about it: it multiplies. One act leads to another. Motion creates momentum. The moment you begin, you break the paralysis of fear and open the door to new strength. You may feel hesitant before the first step, but as you continue, your confidence rises. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the willingness to move in spite of it. And when you move, courage expands. What once seemed impossible begins to feel natural. The very act of doing reshapes your identity, until you no longer see yourself as one who only dreams but as one who manifests. There is a divine current that flows when action is taken. Resources align, people appear, opportunities open, doors swing wide. This is not coincidence, it is law. Vision calls to you, but action signals to the universe that you are ready. The heavens do not respond to idle wishes but to steps of faith. The moment you move, You declare your belief. You say, I am no longer waiting for life to change. I am changing it. That declaration is powerful. It activates unseen forces working on your behalf. Do not mistake action for perfection. Some hesitate because they fear making mistakes. But mistakes are simply steps on the bridge, lessons carved into the wood that make it stronger. A flawed step forward is far more valuable than flawless hesitation. Perfection is an illusion that keeps countless people trapped in stagnation. Progress belongs to those who move, learn, adjust, and keep going. The greatest achievements in history were born not from perfect beginnings, but from persistent action. When you choose to act, even in small ways, you begin to shape your destiny. The smallest seed planted in the soil has more chance to become a tree than the most beautiful seed locked away in a jar. So it is with your vision. Begin with what you have, where you are. Make the call, write the page, take the walk, start the plan. Each step adds strength to your bridge. Each move announces to life, I am serious. I am committed. I will not remain where I am. And life responds in kind. Vision without action creates frustration. It builds longing without fulfillment. But vision with action creates miracles. It brings peace because the heart knows it is aligned with purpose. It brings joy because each day carries progress. It brings results because the bridge is being crossed. No longer do you live as a dreamer trapped in thought. You live as a door, a creator, a manifester of divine intention. Ask yourself, what vision lies within me waiting to be expressed? What dream have I carried year after year without action? And then force yourself, not with harshness, but with determination, to move. The resistance will fade once you begin. The fear will weaken once you step. The excuses will crumble under the weight of your momentum. And as you continue, the life you once only imagined will begin to take form before your eyes. Action is the bridge, and you are the builder. Each day gives you the chance to lay a new plank. Do not let it pass unused. Step forward, boldly and faithfully, and watch as your vision becomes manifestation. For when thought meets motion, when faith meets works, when vision meets action, nothing in heaven or earth can keep your dream from becoming real. Seeds of dreams only grow when planted through motion. A dream resting in the mind, no matter how beautiful, no matter how divine, remains only a possibility until you dare to act. The universe does not reward mere intention, it rewards the one who moves, the one who steps forward in faith, even when the ground beneath feels uncertain. To plant a seed is not to keep it hidden in thought, but to push it into the soil of reality through action. The ground may look hard, the season may not seem right, yet the seed that is planted has infinitely more hope of life than the seed that remains in your hand. How many people live their entire lives carrying seeds of greatness they never planted? They dream of writing books that never touch paper, of building businesses that never leave their imagination, of transforming lives but never taking the first step. They wait for conditions to be perfect, for fear to disappear, for courage to suddenly rise like a flood. But conditions never align until action demands they align. Fear never leaves until faith confronts it. Courage never comes until you choose to act in the presence of trembling. A seed has within it a tree, a forest, a harvest, but only when buried beneath the soil does that miracle unfold. Dreams are the same. The soil of life is action. Action is the force that activates potential. You cannot simply wish for change, you must do something, however small, to give your dream a chance to breathe. The first word written, the first dollar saved, the first phone call made, the first practice session begun. These are seeds pressed into the earth. They may look insignificant at first, but the law of growth is faithful. Motion ignites miracles. You may fear that the seed is too small, that your effort will be wasted, that others will laugh at your attempt. But remember, every towering oak began as a tiny acorn. Every river began as a trickle. Every great achievement began with a moment of action that seemed almost invisible. The seed that is planted, though unseen at first, is doing its greatest work beneath the surface. Your actions, though unnoticed today, are setting roots for tomorrow's harvest. The invisible work beneath is the guarantee of the visible work above. There is a great danger in delay. Procrastination is the thief of destiny. It whispers to the dreamer that tomorrow will be easier, that next week will bring better conditions, that next year will somehow open the door. But next year is born out of what you choose today. The greatest lie you can believe is that there will be a more convenient time to plant. The truth is this: the best time to plant was yesterday, and the second best time is now. Force yourself to take action today, and tomorrow will begin to bend in your favor. The soil of action may not always feel comfortable. Planting means getting your hands dirty, bending down, pressing into the earth. So too, action requires effort, sweat, discipline, sacrifice. Yet it is this very discomfort that births growth. The soil must break the seed before the sprout emerges. Likewise, action will break you free from doubt, from fear, from stagnation. It will crack open your hidden strength and reveal the life within. Without that breaking, there can be no blossoming. Think of faith as the invisible water that nourishes the planted seed. To act without seeing the full outcome is faith in motion. You do not dig up the seed every morning to check if it is growing. You trust the process. In the same way, when you take consistent action toward your vision, you may not see immediate results, but trust that roots are forming, strength is being built, and soon a harvest will appear. Your part is to plant and water, the universe's part is to bring the increase. The law of action is impartial. It does not favor the wealthy over the poor, the educated over the unlearned, the bold over the timid. Whoever acts receives, whoever plants reaps. This is why you must not despise the day of small beginnings. Every small action compounds into momentum. Every simple motion carries you further than standing still. Do not underestimate the power of daily planting, for consistent action creates inevitable harvests. When you finally force yourself into action, you awaken a power that was dormant inside you all along. You begin to realize that hesitation was the only prison, and action was always the key. You stop waiting for permission and start living in alignment with your calling. Others may still be waiting for the perfect moment, but you will be among the few who rise, plant, and grow. In time, your harvest will be undeniable, and those who hesitated will look to you as proof that motion is the mother of miracles. So today, refuse to let your dreams remain as unplanted seeds in your hand. Do not wait for the world to guarantee your success before you move. Choose instead to plant through action. Make the call. Write the first page. Save the first dollar. Begin the first step. It may look small now, but within that small act lies the power to change your life. For the seeds of dreams only grow when planted through motion, and the moment you act, heaven and earth conspire to bring forth your harvest. Force means decision, not strain. Choice creates momentum. The moment you decide, the universe bends to that decision. It is not about tightening your fists in anxiety or exhausting your energy in panic. It is about a firm inner choice that directs all your faculties into one channel. Too many people mistake force for pressure, as though they must drag themselves unwillingly toward their destiny. In truth, the power of force is rooted in clarity, and clarity creates ease. Once you decide, once you say with conviction, I will move, I will act, I will do this now, you step into a stream of momentum that carries you further than hesitation ever could. Momentum begins with a single choice. One decision: to start writing, to take the first step on the path, to pick up the phone, to face the challenge you've been avoiding. The mind will argue endlessly, calculating every risk, weighing every outcome, doubting every detail. But when you choose to act, the noise begins to quiet. Energy that was once wasted on indecision flows into motion, and motion creates progress. Progress, however small, builds confidence. Confidence expands into boldness, and boldness into breakthroughs. All of it stems from the simple force of making a decision. Every life is shaped by turning points, and those turning points are simply choices backed by action. Think of the moments when you dared to leap, even when fear whispered against it. Those decisions may have felt small in the moment, but they created ripples of transformation. The law of action always rewards movement. You cannot steer a ship that remains docked. It is only when it sails that the winds of favor begin to guide it. So it is with your life. Until you move, no direction can reveal itself. But once you decide to act, even imperfectly, you discover paths that were invisible before. Force, then, is not about harshness but about alignment. When you choose with conviction, you align with divine order. It is as if heaven itself responds to your decision. Resources appear. People show up. Doors that seemed locked swing open. Momentum is not something you fight to create. It is something you release by refusing to remain stuck. Each decision you enforce upon yourself becomes a signal to the world that you are serious, that you are ready, that you are committed. And the world cannot help but answer that signal. Still, many hold back, waiting for inspiration before they move. They want the feeling of certainty before the choice, the surge of passion before the effort. But the truth is, reversed inspiration is born from action. Passion grows through participation. Certainty comes from repetition. You cannot wait for fire to fall before striking the match. The flame appears only when you act first. That is the hidden law. Move, and the energy you need will meet you on the way. Fear thrives in hesitation. The longer you wait, the larger your doubts grow. But force cuts fear at the root. A decisive act silences the chatter of what-ifs and replaces it with the reality of what is. Even if you stumble, even if you fall, the fact that you moved creates more growth than endless speculation ever could. A single step in courage outweighs 1,000 hours of worry. Action is the great equalizer, transforming weakness into strength and confusion into clarity. Discipline is the companion of force. Without discipline, your choices dissolve into inconsistency. Force must be renewed daily, through habits that keep your vision alive. Discipline is not punishment, it is the daily agreement with yourself to stay aligned with your decision. It is rising when the alarm rings, choosing focus over distraction, perseverance over ease. In those moments of discipline, you reinforce your decision and strengthen your momentum. Over time, this consistency builds a momentum so powerful that it feels effortless, because the choice has become identity. Faith reveals itself most clearly through action. To say you believe is not enough, your belief must be proven by your steps. Faith without works is like a promise without fulfillment. Every action you take declares your faith in the vision you hold. When you decide to move, even when circumstances are uncertain, you demonstrate to yourself and to life itself that you trust the outcome will unfold in your favor. This faith-driven motion attracts provision, protection, and opportunity in ways no passive waiting ever could. The beauty of forcing yourself into action is that you awaken hidden strength. Within you lies more courage than you know, more resilience than you have tested, more wisdom than you have yet applied. These qualities do not rise in stillness, they rise in movement. Just as muscles grow under resistance, your character grows under action. The more you move, the stronger you become. The stronger you become, the greater the momentum. The greater the momentum, the easier the next decision feels. Soon what once seemed impossible becomes natural, because momentum has carried you across the threshold of hesitation into the field of victory. So force yourself, not into exhaustion, not into panic, but into decision. Decide now that your vision is worthy of motion. Decide now that your dream deserves to live. Decide now that fear will not hold dominion over your choices. Push past the resistance of doubt, step boldly into action, and allow momentum to carry you where faith has already promised you will arrive. For force means decision, not strain, and in that decision lies the unstoppable momentum that turns ordinary lives into extraordinary testimonies. Confidence is born in the act, not before it. This truth is one of the greatest keys to transforming your life. Too many people wait endlessly for the feeling of certainty before they step forward, not realizing that the feeling they are waiting for is only created when they move. They wait for courage to arrive as if it will descend upon them like sunlight through a window. But courage is already within them, waiting to be awakened through decision. Action is the spark that sets confidence ablaze, and hesitation is the thief that smothers its flame. Think of a child learning to walk. They do not wait until they are sure-footed, balanced, and strong before taking their first step. They stumble, fall, and rise again. But each step teaches the muscles what stability feels like. Each attempt builds memory and strength until walking becomes natural. Confidence follows the act of walking, it does not precede it. In the same way, your goals, your visions, your dreams, require your steps before you feel ready. Readiness is not a gift given in advance, it is a reward given after movement. The mind will whisper lies to keep you still. It will say, "You are not prepared enough. What if you fail? What if others laugh? What if it doesn't work?" These are shadows, illusions that vanish under the light of action. Once you take the first step, the noise begins to fade. Every small act of courage silences doubt and builds inner strength. Confidence grows not in planning alone but in daring. It is not a product of endless preparation but of choosing to rise, even in imperfection. When you act, you teach your spirit that fear has no authority over you. The simple act of trying creates momentum, and momentum carries you forward further than you imagined. The second step is easier than the first, and the third easier still. What once seemed impossible begins to feel natural because you dared to move. Confidence becomes a habit, a rhythm, a certainty that comes only to those who refuse to wait for it. Do not misunderstand, confidence is not arrogance. It is not shouting loudly to prove yourself or pretending to be what you are not. True confidence is calm assurance, a deep inner knowing that grows from experience. And experience can only come through doing. You cannot become a swimmer by standing on the shore. You cannot become a speaker by keeping silent. You cannot become a leader by waiting in the shadows. You must step into the water, raise your voice, take the lead, and in the doing, you become what you desire. Every great achievement you admire was once a trembling beginning. The painter's first stroke was uncertain. The singer's first note was shaky. The builder's first foundation was imperfect, but the act itself gave birth to growth, and growth gave birth to confidence. Perfection is not required at the start, willingness is. Force yourself to take the first imperfect action, and perfection will polish you as you continue. The act carries within it the seed of mastery. Waiting for confidence before acting is like waiting for the harvest before planting the seed. It will never come. The law of life is simple: plant first, harvest later, move first, and confidence follows. You cannot reap what you have not sown, and yet, once you plant the seed of action, the soil of life multiplies it into results. The very doing of the thing you fear weakens the fear and strengthens your faith. Action builds trust in yourself. Each time you do what you once thought you couldn't, your mind records the victory. These victories stack upon one another until you look back and realize you are no longer the same person who once hesitated. You stand taller, speak clearer, and believe deeper. You realize that the world did not break you when you stepped out. It met you, supported you, and opened doors that standing still could never unlock. Confidence is not waiting for everything to be perfect. It is acting even when things are not. It is the decision to move through fear, through doubt, through uncertainty, knowing that strength will come as you walk. You may stumble, but stumbling forward is progress. You may feel unready, but readiness will meet you on the path. The act itself is the miracle that awakens what lies dormant inside you. So force yourself to act, not tomorrow, not when conditions feel ideal, but today. Speak the word you've been afraid to say. Start the work you've been postponing. Take the step you've been doubting. For every act you take, confidence will grow like a fire fed by fuel. And soon, the fire will burn so brightly that fear will have no room to stand in your presence. Confidence is not something you chase, it is something you create. And the creation begins with action. The moment you move, the power within you is stirred, the doubt is silenced, and the courage you've longed for rises like a river flowing without resistance. Force yourself into the act, and the act itself will birth the confidence you thought you lacked. In that truth lies your freedom, your growth, and your destiny fulfilled. Inspiration follows motion, not hesitation. Life does not wait for the hesitant, nor does it unfold its treasures to those who linger at the edge of decision. The mind can spend endless days imagining possibilities, rehearsing scenarios, and hoping for perfect timing, but nothing truly changes until motion is applied. Inspiration is not a gift that comes to the idle. It is a flame that ignites when you dare to move. The great mistake so many make is believing they must feel ready before they act. Yet readiness is not a feeling, it is a decision. Action creates readiness. The very act of stepping forward shifts the atmosphere, clears the fog of uncertainty, and unlocks the wisdom you thought you lacked. Consider how the seed must first be pressed into the soil before it can grow. If it remains in the hand, untouched by earth, sunlight, and water, it will forever remain just a possibility. The soil is the action, the motion that awakens what lies within. In the same way, your ideas, dreams, and visions are seeds of greatness, but without action they wither in imagination. When you force yourself to plant them through motion, you awaken their divine potential. You do not need to see the entire harvest at once. You need only to trust the law of growth and take the first step. Hesitation, on the other hand, is the silent thief of destiny. It convinces you that tomorrow will bring a better mood, a stronger will, or a clearer plan. But tomorrow is shaped by today's motion. Procrastination is not harmless. It delays the blessings already prepared for you. When you wait, doors that could have opened remain closed. Opportunities that were aligned with your step pass by. Life is not punishing you, it is simply responding to your stillness. But the moment you move, the universe aligns to match your pace. Invisible helpers rise, resources appear, courage floods in, inspiration descends like fresh wind filling your sails, and suddenly the impossible begins to feel attainable. The truth is motion itself generates energy. Think of a river. When it flows, it carves valleys, moves stones, and creates new paths. But if it is blocked, it grows stagnant. Your life mirrors this principle. Stagnation breeds doubt, fear, and discouragement. Flow breeds clarity, strength, and vision. The longer you wait, the heavier the weight of inaction becomes. But the moment you push forward, no matter how small the step, momentum builds, and what seemed overwhelming becomes manageable. That is the miracle of motion. It shrinks obstacles that looked like mountains into stepping stones beneath your feet. Many people misunderstand force. They think it means strain, stress, or harshness. But true force is simply disciplined decision. It is the inner command that says, I will not wait on feelings, I will choose to act now. Every time you override hesitation, you train your mind to trust action over fear. It becomes a habit, a rhythm, a new normal. And soon, what once required pushing yourself will feel like a natural part of who you are. Discipline transforms into freedom, and freedom leads you directly into destiny. Inspiration is a companion of courage. When you act courageously, inspiration rushes to stand beside you. Writers do not find inspiration before they begin to write, they find it in the flow of the first words. Leaders do not wait for clarity before stepping forward, clarity emerges as they walk. The same applies to you. Your next idea, your next breakthrough, your next opportunity is waiting in the motion you have been avoiding. Every small action is a signal to life itself, declaring that you are ready to receive. Faith is never idle. Faith speaks, faith steps, faith builds. To say you believe in your dream but refuse to act is like lighting a lamp and hiding it under a basket. Action is faith made visible. And once it is visible, once you move, you attract the very circumstances that seemed so distant while you hesitated. Action declares to heaven and earth, I am serious, I am ready, I am willing. That declaration releases energy greater than you can imagine. If you find yourself stuck, do not wait for motivation. Begin. Write the first page, make the first call, take the first walk, sow the first seed. The act itself will inspire the next step and the step after that. By the time you look back, you will realize you have crossed miles that once seemed impossible. The miracle was never in waiting for the right time. The miracle was always hidden in your motion. The law of life is simple: move, and doors will open. Hesitate, and they will remain closed. The choice is always before you. Inspiration is not lost, nor is it far. It is waiting for you in the field of action. Step forward today and let life meet you with its abundant supply. Do not wait another moment. Force yourself to move, for inspiration follows motion, not hesitation. Fear and doubt lose power the moment you advance. They live and thrive in hesitation, in the shadows of indecision, and in the silence of delay. As long as you remain still, they grow louder, stronger, and more convincing. They whisper lies of inadequacy, echo doubts of failure, and paralyze the spirit with questions of, what if? Yet the moment you take even the smallest step forward, their voices begin to fade. They are illusions that collapse when confronted with motion. Shadows that vanish the instant you bring light to them. Think of fear as a wall that looks unshakable from a distance. The closer you come to it, the more cracks you see. When you touch it with your hand, you realize it is not stone but paper. One decisive push tears it down completely. That is the nature of fear. It is only strong when you stand still gazing at it. Doubt works the same way. It sits like a heavy weight on your mind, convincing you of impossibilities. But when you move, when you act in faith, that weight slips off your shoulders because action creates proof. Motion creates evidence that the thing you dreaded can be done. Every dream placed in your heart requires courage, and courage is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to bow to it. Courage is action in the face of trembling hands, racing hearts, and uncertain paths. It is saying, I may feel afraid, but fear will not decide my future. The one who acts courageously discovers a truth. Fear is a liar and doubt is powerless once momentum begins. Just as a runner feels the strain in the first steps but finds rhythm as the race continues, you too will find that what once felt unbearable becomes natural once you step forward. Fear and doubt are masters of delay. They convince you to wait until conditions are perfect, until you feel ready, until you have more resources or confidence. But perfection never arrives. Readiness never appears until you act. Life rewards motion, not waiting. The moment you advance, even awkwardly, the universe adjusts itself to your courage. Resources show up, doors begin to open, people step into your path to help you. What seemed impossible in stillness becomes inevitable in action. Many people spend years imprisoned by fear, locked in the cell of hesitation, waiting for a moment of strength to come and rescue them. But the secret is that strength does not come first. It follows. Strength is built in the act of moving. Faith is proven when you dare to step. You break the lock of fear not by thinking about it, not by praying endlessly for it to vanish, but by placing one foot in front of the other and declaring, I will not be stopped. Consider the eagle. When it teaches its young to fly, it pushes them out of the nest. The eaglet does not wait until it feels fully ready to soar. It learns by falling, by flapping, by moving. Fear must be faced the same way. You learn to conquer it by confronting it. You learn to silence doubt by proving it wrong through action. Each time you advance, even in weakness, you grow stronger. Each time you move, the shadow shrinks. Each step makes the next easier, until what once terrified you becomes your second nature. Fear will always try to appear larger than life. It magnifies the possibility of failure, rejection, or loss. Yet when you advance, you find that even failure is not fatal. Every stumble teaches, every setback strengthens, every rejection redirects you toward something greater. Doubt cannot hold a person who refuses to quit, because every action builds a testimony. You learn that nothing has the power to defeat you unless you surrender to stillness. Your destiny does not require you to be fearless. It requires you to move anyway. Every great achievement began with trembling hands and uncertain steps. Those who changed the world were not free from fear, they simply refused to let it govern them. The moment they advanced, the power of fear dissolved, and the power of faith took over. You too are called to live in this truth. Fear and doubt lose their grip, not by waiting for them to disappear, but by choosing to advance right through them. So, force yourself into motion. Speak the word you have been afraid to say. Start the project you have delayed. Walk toward the vision that feels too big. Do it while fear trembles in the corner, because once you act, fear has no ground to stand on. The chains of doubt cannot hold a person in motion. Life bends for the bold, and the heavens align with the determined. Remember always, fear and doubt are powerless in the presence of action. The moment you advance, you become unstoppable. Faith without action is like a lamp without oil. It cannot burn. A lamp may look beautiful on the outside, polished and set in place, but without oil it remains dark, powerless, and unable to fulfill its purpose. So it is with your faith, your dreams, and your vision. You may believe with all your heart, but until belief is put into motion through action, it remains a silent hope, an unrealized potential. Action is the oil that fuels the lamp of your faith, igniting it into light that can be seen, experienced, and transformative. Too many people sit in silence, convinced that their belief alone will move mountains. They speak of faith, they declare their intentions, they visualize their dreams, but they stop short of moving their feet. Words without works are empty echoes in the valley of waiting. The universe does not respond to idle declarations, it responds to courageous steps. Just as the farmer cannot pray for harvest without first planting the seed, you cannot expect the blessings of your vision without the action that gives it life. The truth is, action is not always convenient. It will rarely wait until you feel ready. In fact, action often demands that you move while fear whispers and doubt shouts. But this is the very essence of faith, believing enough to act even when the path seems uncertain. Confidence is not a prerequisite, it is a byproduct. When you force yourself to act, even with trembling hands, you set into motion forces greater than your own strength. Heaven favors the bold, and life bends to those who dare to step forward. Imagine the lamp again. It does not shine because someone merely believes it can. It shines because the oil has been poured in, the match has been struck, and the flame has been lit. Action is the match that lights your faith. Without it, the world cannot see the light you carry. Your talents remain hidden, your gifts remain unused, and your potential remains untapped. But the moment you take action, the light begins to spread. One step leads to another, and soon your flame not only illuminates your path but inspires those who walk behind you. Every great achievement in history began not with perfect conditions, but with imperfect action. The builder who lays the first brick does not see the entire building rise instantly, but with every brick laid, the vision becomes reality. The writer who begins with a single sentence does not hold a finished book in her hand, but page by page, the manuscript emerges. The dreamer who takes the first small step plants the seed of a future harvest. Action, however small, carries within it the power to change the course of a life. You may say, but I am afraid. What if I fail? Understand this failure is not in the act itself, but in the refusal to act. Every step you take is progress. Every effort, whether successful or not, teaches you, refines you, and strengthens you. The only true failure is in doing nothing at all. Fear loses its grip when confronted. Like a shadow, it shrinks the moment you walk into the light of action. Each time you act despite fear, you declare that faith is stronger than doubt, that courage is louder than hesitation. Discipline is the quiet companion of action. It is the daily force that pushes you forward when excitement fades and motivation wanes. Discipline says, do it anyway. It is the oil that keeps the lamp burning steadily, not just for a moment but for a lifetime. To rely only on bursts of inspiration is to live in flickers of light, but to cultivate discipline is to keep your flame burning with constancy, guiding you through seasons of uncertainty until the breakthrough arrives. Remember, this faith is not passive. It is not waiting endlessly for a sign, nor is it holding a dream in your heart while your hands remain idle. Faith is active, it breathes, it moves, it reaches. When you act, you are telling life, I am ready. And life responds by opening doors, aligning circumstances, and bringing forth opportunities you could never have arranged by yourself. Divine law rushes to meet those who move in faith, and miracles often appear after the step, not before it, so take the step today. Make the call, write the page, start the project, sow the seed. Do not wait for the perfect moment, for the perfect moment does not exist. The act itself creates the moment. Push past the excuses, silence the voice of doubt, and remember that even the smallest action is greater than the grandest intention left undone. Force yourself if you must, for once the motion begins, momentum will carry you forward. Faith without action will always remain a dream locked in the mind. But faith with action becomes a force, unstoppable, undeniable, unshakable. It lights the path, attracts provision, and transforms belief into reality. Let your faith burn bright, feed it with action. Refuse to remain still while your destiny waits. For when faith and action unite, the lamp not only burns, it shines so brightly that it changes everything around it. Discipline is the gentle force that overcomes excuses. It is the quiet power that whispers when every excuse screams loudly to stop. It is not a harsh taskmaster, but a steady friend that pulls you toward your destiny when your emotions try to betray you. Excuses will always appear. They come dressed in convincing words, appearing rational and even protective. They say, you are too tired. It's not the right time, or, you'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow never arrives for those who bow to excuses. Only the one who allows discipline to lead will ever see dreams unfold into reality. Excuses are like shadows, they follow you everywhere, yet they hold no substance. They cannot stop you unless you give them power. But discipline is the light that chases shadows away. It turns, I can't, into, I will, and I'll try, into, it's done. Every great achievement in life has been the fruit of consistent discipline. Not bursts of effort here and there, but a steady, unshakable rhythm of action, taken even when the mood does not agree. Discipline begins with a decision. It does not wait for emotions to align, it commands them. It says, regardless of how I feel, I will act. Feelings are unstable, they change with the weather, but discipline holds firm like a rock in the middle of the storm. It is not moved by fear, fatigue, or laziness. It knows that action itself produces the energy required to continue. Once the step is taken, strength follows. The person who waits to feel ready never begins, but the one who disciplines themselves to begin discovers readiness as they move. To force yourself into action is not to live harshly, but to live faithfully. It is faith in motion, the embodiment of belief. When you rise and do what must be done, you declare to yourself and to life that you are serious about your vision. Excuses dishonor your potential, but discipline honors it. Excuses shut doors, but discipline opens them. Excuses make promises of comfort, but discipline delivers fulfillment. The gentle force of discipline silences every lie that tries to keep you small. Imagine the farmer who holds seed in his hand but never plants because he fears the rain or complains about the sun. His excuses will rob him of harvest. But the farmer who plants every day, who disciplines himself to rise early and work his field regardless of the weather, will see abundance. Life works no differently. The soil of your future waits for seeds of disciplined action. Every excuse you accept is a seed never planted, a harvest never reaped. Discipline transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary outcomes. A few pages read every day becomes wisdom. A small coin saved each day becomes wealth. A consistent workout each morning becomes strength. Excuses may seem small, but they steal more than moments. They steal legacies. And discipline, even in small doses, creates more than progress. It creates transformation. Each discipline choice, no matter how small, compounds into greatness. There will always be resistance. The body may say no, the mind may argue, and the world may distract. But discipline overcomes resistance with persistence. It trains the body to obey, the mind to focus, and the will to remain steadfast. The disciplined person learns the art of showing up, not once, not sometimes, but every time. This persistence builds momentum, and momentum builds destiny. What begins as force becomes habit, and what becomes habit becomes identity. The beauty of discipline is that it does not enslave, it sets you free. Free from the chains of procrastination, free from the guilt of wasted potential, free from the burden of unfinished dreams. Discipline liberates you from regret and gives you the joy of completion. Every step of discipline may feel like effort, but each step is also a key unlocking your future. The very things excuses say are too difficult become the very things that prove your strength when you do them. When you choose discipline, you choose alignment with the laws of success. The universe favors the one who acts, not the one who delays. Opportunities bow to the disciplined. Miracles meet the prepared. Breakthroughs are handed to the persistent. Life itself respects the one who shows up with consistency, who proves by action that they are worthy of reward. This is not cruelty, this is order. The laws of life are not mocked. What you sow with discipline, you shall reap with abundance. You may not control every circumstance, but you control your choice to act. Excuses will always search for loopholes, pointing at what you cannot control, but discipline focuses on what you can. It reminds you that even small steps matter. Even when progress feels slow, discipline reassures you that each step taken is a step closer. The person who disciplines themselves to walk forward every day will outrun the one who sprints only when inspired. So let your heart decide today that excuses no longer rule you. Let discipline rise as the gentle but unyielding force that carries you toward your vision. Trust that as you act consistently, doors will open, strength will multiply, and confidence will grow. Discipline does not need applause, it needs repetition. It does not crave recognition, it craves consistency. And in time, it will reward you with a life that excuses could never offer. Discipline is the voice of destiny speaking through your actions. It is the divine current urging you to move forward when everything else tries to hold you back. If you listen, if you yield to its gentle pull, you will find that every excuse fades into silence and every possibility rises into view. Discipline is the gentle force that overcomes excuses, and when you embrace it fully, there is nothing in life you cannot achieve. When you act, life rushes to meet you with opportunities. There is a rhythm in the universe that rewards movement, and the moment you choose to step forward, unseen forces align in your favor. Too often, people sit waiting for a perfect moment, for a sudden burst of courage, or for some magical sign that will tell them it's time to begin. But the truth is, opportunity rarely shows itself to those who sit idle. It reveals itself to those who move, to those who dare to plant their foot firmly on the path and say, "I will not wait another day." Action is the proof of faith, and faith in action draws results like a magnet draws iron. Dreams, no matter how vivid, are only potential until they are acted upon. A seed has within it the design for a tree, but it cannot grow unless it is pushed into the soil. Your visions and desires are seeds of destiny, but the soil they require is action. When you take action, even in small steps, you bury your intentions into the earth of reality, and from there, life begins to respond. The phone call you make, the words you write, the step you take toward your vision. These are the signals to the universe that you are ready, and readiness is rewarded with divine timing. Suddenly, resources appear. People cross your path, doors open where there were only walls, because life respects the one who refuses to remain still. The great mistake many make is waiting for confidence before they act. Confidence does not precede action, it is born from it. Think of the child learning to walk. The child does not wait until it feels certain it will never fall. It takes the step, wobbles, stumbles, but each attempt builds balance, and balance builds confidence. You too must step before you are ready, because readiness is created in the doing. Every action carries within it the seed of boldness. Every movement generates its own courage. If you wait for perfect clarity or absolute strength, you will never move, and your dream will wither in the silence of hesitation. Action also silences fear. Fear is a master of delay, whispering lies such as, "You're not prepared," or, "It isn't the right time." But fear has no defense against motion. When you step forward despite trembling hands or a racing heart, you strip fear of its power. The mountain that looked impossible shrinks when you begin to climb it. The darkness loses its terror once you light a candle. And so it is with every challenge. Fear flees when confronted by a step of action. Life does not demand perfection, it demands courage, and courage is demonstrated by doing. Inspiration is often misunderstood. Many wait for inspiration before they act, but inspiration itself is the reward of action. Sit in stillness long enough, and you will grow wary of your own thoughts, but rise and take even the smallest step and suddenly your heart awakens. Creativity, vision and passion flow when the body and mind are engaged in movement. The writer finds ideas by writing, not by waiting for them. The builder finds strength by laying bricks, not by staring at blueprints. The entrepreneur discovers opportunity by starting, not by endlessly planning. Inspiration is not the starting point, it is the fuel you receive once you are already in motion. Faith without action is powerless. You can believe in your dream, you can speak affirmations, you can visualize success, but until you act, nothing materializes. Faith without action is like a lamp without oil, it cannot burn. Action is the oil that fuels the flame of faith. Each step you take is a declaration, I believe. To sit in stillness while declaring faith is to hold the match but never strike it. But when you act, the match is lit, the flame bursts forth, and your dream begins to shine in the visible world. Discipline is the gentle force that ensures action even when feelings fail. Feelings are fleeting, they rise and fall like the tide. If you depend on motivation alone, you will act only when the sun shines. But discipline pushes you to rise even in the rain. Discipline says, I will act not because I feel like it, but because I must. It is this inner force that breaks the cycle of excuses. Discipline builds consistency, and consistency builds momentum. And momentum, once in motion, is unstoppable. It carries you across valleys of doubt and up mountains of resistance until your dream becomes reality. Opportunities are often hidden, disguised as small steps, difficult tasks, or simple beginnings. But when you move, life reveals them to you. The person you meet while pursuing your goal could become a partner, a mentor, or a key to the next door. The project you start could unlock abilities you didn't know you possessed. The challenge you face could refine you into someone stronger, sharper, and more prepared for the bigger vision ahead. None of these revelations arrive to those who stand still. They belong only to the movers, the doers, the ones who act despite uncertainty. Understand this truth: action is a law of the universe. Everything that lives moves. Rivers flow, winds blow, stars shift, and seasons change. Life itself is motion. To refuse action is to oppose the natural law of progress. But when you align yourself with this law and force yourself to act, you flow with the current of creation. And creation, once engaged, multiplies your efforts. What began as a single step becomes a journey, and that journey leads to outcomes greater than what you imagined at the beginning. So take the step today. Do not wait for courage, for clarity, or for perfect conditions. Move and courage will appear. Move and clarity will come. Move and conditions will bend in your favor. When you act, life rushes to meet you with opportunities. The unseen doors will swing wide, the hidden resources will rise, and what once seemed impossible will bow before your persistence. Act now, act boldly, act with faith, and watch as life itself rewards your courage.